Hello and welcome to a video that is, shockingly, about taxes. Look, I know what you're thinking, taxes? Isn't there a perfectly good pie shop we could be robbing right now? Well, probably, but this is important. Particularly if you're a charitable or religious trust in India operating under Section 12A of the Income Tax Act. See, Section 12A is like that one friend who always lets you borrow their Netflix password, incredibly generous, but with some very specific rules you do want to break. We're talking potential cancellation of your registration and having to, taxes. And nobody wants that, right? So buckle up, Buttercup. We're about to dive deep into the murky, shark-infested waters of Section 12A violations. We'll dissect exactly what qualifies as a violation, what kind of steaming pile of consequences you're looking at if you mess up, and most importantly, how to avoid becoming the cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones at trust board meetings. Alright, let's start with the most obvious way to anger the tax gods, misusing trust income. This is Section 12, a violation 101, folks. Think of it like this. Your trust deed is a legally binding promise to use your funds for a specific charitable purpose. It's not your personal piggy bank, no matter how tempting that might seem. So, let's say your trust is dedicated to, teaching pigeons interpretive dance. Admirable goal, truly. But instead of using your donations to buy tiny ballet shoes and hire a choreographer who specializes in avian movement, you decide to, say, invest in a friend's underwater basket weaving business. Sure, it's a sound investment, but come on, we all know what's really going on here. And the taxman knows too. They see right through those flimsy excuses like a hawk wearing X-ray goggles, and they are amused. Misusing trust income, even with the noblest of intentions, or let's be honest, the most self-serving ones, is a one-way ticket to Violation Town. And trust me, you don't want to live in Violation Town. It's a dreary place, filled with audits, penalties, and the crushing weight of disappointment from every pigeon who will never achieve their interpretive dance dreams. Stick to the script, people. Use your trust income for its intended purpose. The pigeons will thank you for it. Okay, so maybe your trust actually running a business, maybe you're selling handcrafted, artisanal pigeon-themed oven mitts to fund your interpretive dance program. Hey, a trust's gotta eat, right? That's fine, perfectly legal. You do it right. See, Section 12A allows trusts to earn some business income, but here's the catch. It has to be to your main charitable objective. In other words, the oven mitts are okay. A full-blown pigeon-themed casino, not so much. And for the love of all that is holy, keep meticulous records. We're talking separate books, invoices, the whole shebang. Think of it like this. You're walking a tightrope over a pit of hungry crocodiles wearing a tuxedo made of tax forms. One wrong step, one misplaced receipt, and snap. You're crocodile chowder, my friend. Transparency is key here. The government wants to see exactly where your money is coming from and where it's going. So unless you're a big fan of surprise audits and spending your days wrestling with spreadsheets, keep those records squeaky clean. Remember, we're going for upstanding charitable organization, not sketchy offshore tax haven. There's a very fine line between the two, and it's usually drawn in red ink by a very grumpy auditor. Now let's talk about religious trusts. You guys have a special place in Section 12A's heart, but that doesn't mean you get a free pass. Oh no, not even close. Because when it comes to using your trust income, remember the golden rule. Keep it public, my friends. Just like a game of charades at a family reunion, the benefits of your religious trust should be enjoyed by everyone, not just your inner circle. So if you're using donations meant for, say, temple upkeep to, install a solid gold bathtub in the head priest's bathroom, well, let's just say the taxman is going to have some questions. And they're not going to be happy questions. This isn't about stifling religious freedom. It's about ensuring that tax-exempt organizations genuinely serve the public good. Using trust funds for personal gain, even under the guise of religion, is like trying to sneak a live tiger through airport security in your carry-on. It's not going to end well. Remember, transparency and accountability are your best friends here. Make sure your activities benefit the wider community, not just a select few. Otherwise, you might find yourself on the receiving end of an audit that's more awkward than a first date with a tax auditor. And believe me, those are truly terrifying. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the very specific type of discrimination the Income Tax Act really frowns upon. Because here's the thing. If your charitable trust was established after the Income Tax Act came into effect, You absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, favor one religious community or caste over another. This isn't just a suggestion, folks, it's the law. You want to offer scholarships? Great. Just make sure they're open to everyone, regardless of their faith or background. You want to provide disaster relief? Fantastic. But don't even think about checking the IDs of those in need before handing out supplies. Look, I get it. People have their beliefs, their traditions, their deeply ingrained biases, but when it comes to charitable work, especially when you're benefiting from tax exemptions, inclusivity isn't just a buzzword, it's a non-negotiable requirement. Think of it like this. You're hosting a giant pizza party for the entire neighborhood. You wouldn't exclude someone just because they prefer pineapple on their pizza, would you? Okay, bad example, but you get the point. Discrimination is never a good look, especially when the taxman is watching. Let's be honest, folks, there are some shady characters out there who try to exploit the charitable sector for personal gain. They set up these fake charities, these phantom organizations that exist solely on paper, like a unicorn riding a unicycle on a rainbow. Sounds magical, but you know it's complete BS. These phony charities are the taxman's worst nightmare. They collect donations, claim exemptions, and then, poof, the money disappears, like a magician's assistant in a cloud of smoke. Only in this case, there's no dazzling illusion, just a trail of financial discrepancies and heartbroken donors. So how do you prove you're the real deal? Easy, actually do some real, tangible good in the world. Remember that interpretive dance program for pigeons we talked about? Get those birds pirouetting. Document everything from your expenses to your impact. Think of it like this. You're on a reality show competing for the title of India's most trustworthy trust. The cameras are always rolling, capturing your every move. You need to convince the judges, and by judges I mean the income tax department, that you're the genuine article. So, ditch the smoke and mirrors, the elaborate schemes, the offshore accounts. Seriously, don't even think about it. Be authentic, be transparent, and for goodness sake, actually do some good in the world. The pigeons are counting on you. Now I know what you're thinking. John, this is a video about Section 12A of the Income Tax Act. Why are we suddenly talking about other laws? Well, my friend, that's like saying you're only pregnant. You either are or you aren't. And when it comes to legal compliance, ignorance is about as effective as a chocolate fire guard. See, the government isn't messing around here. They expect you to be a model citizen, a shining example of lawful behavior. That means dotting your I's, crossing your T's, and generally being so squeaky clean that you make a freshly sanitized operating room look like a petri dish. We're talking FCRA compliance for foreign donations, GST regulations, labor laws, land use permits, the whole 9 yards. It might seem overwhelming, but trust me, it's far less painful than the alternative. Because if a government authority catches even a whiff of non-compliance, they will come down on you like a ton of bricks. Remember, you're not just accountable to the income tax department, you're accountable to the entire legal system. So, channel your inner goody two-shoes, brush up on your regulations, and for the love of all that is holy, hire a good lawyer. Okay, we've almost reached the finish line, folks. But before you breathe a sigh of relief, let's talk about something that should be glaringly obvious but somehow manages to trip people up: honesty. Remember that thing your parents used to drone on about? Yeah, it turns out it's kind of important, especially when dealing with legal documents. Look, I get it. Filling out forms is about as enjoyable as a root canal with a rusty spoon. But when it comes to your 12A application, accuracy is paramount. This isn't the time to embellish your accomplishments, inflate your impact, or conveniently forget to mention that little incident with the trust fund and the questionable investment opportunity. Remember that time you tried to sneak extra baggage onto a flight by wearing all your clothes at once? Yeah, this is kind of like that, except instead of getting a stern talking to from a flight attendant, you're facing the wrath of the income tax department. And trust me, those folks are way scarier. So, triple check your application, provide accurate information, and resist the urge to channel your inner fiction writer. Remember, honesty isn't just the best policy, it's the only policy that won't land you in hot water with the tax man. So, there you have it, folks. The 7 deadly sins of Section 12A violations. Avoid them like the plague, or, a really aggressive tax audit. Remember, operating under Section 12A is a privilege, not a right. It comes with great responsibility, and if you're not careful, it can be revoked faster than you can say charitable contribution. Look, I know this might seem overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Just remember the golden rules. Operate transparently, follow the law to the letter, and for goodness sake, don't use your trust fund as your personal slush fund. Stay compliant, keep meticulous records, and make sure your activities align with your charitable objectives. And if you're ever unsure about something, ask for help. There are experts out there who can guide you through the murky waters of tax law. Because trust me, it's far better to be safe than sorry, especially when the tax man is involved.